Hello there, it's time for Ask Baldy again. Now the first thing I want to do is just make a comment on something someone said about my video last week. Nick Brighton said I didn't mention the back end and how you don't actually need the 700 visitors a day if you've got a decent back end, and Nick is absolutely right. The reason I didn't go into that is because I wanted to keep it simple. Most people going into a niche business or an online business, they're tending to think about selling just the one product at first to see if their business model actually works. And then to ask somebody to concentrate or think about putting together a back-end system too, it's a lot more hard work, especially when the upfront sales aren't necessarily there if you don't know the market's going to work. So that's why I didn't complicate matters. But Nick is absolutely right. If you've got a good back end, you don't need the kind of visitors numbers I was talking about. How many you need depends on the kind of money you're making. Obviously the object of the exercise isn't to have a big list, it's to have a list of buyers, which is much more important. Obviously if you can have a big list of buyers, then that's the best of all. So I just wanted to clear up that little comment. Now today we've just got the one again. This is from Peter. And he says, "Hi John, you often say about how you should email your list often and sell them something. My problem is my list isn't very big as it is, quite appropriate really. And what I don't want to do is to email them only to have them unsubscribe. What do you suggest I do?" Well, it's a funny one, that, because it's the kind of question I get quite often. Not emailing your list because you are afraid they will unsubscribe is a little bit like holding your breath to conserve oxygen. It's really successful for a very short period of time. The thing is, the point of having a list is to sell to it. There's no point in having a list that you don't use. Resources that you don't actually use and just keep back for a day that's going to be rainy, and no day is going to be quite rainy enough, is pointless. There's no point in having them. The point of having a list is that you sell to them. That's it really. And if you don't sell to them in some way, there's no point in having them. So you may as well email to them, and if they all go, well then you just have to rebuild your list again. But the fact is then they're telling you that those people on your list are not buyers and are not people who are ever going to be any use to at all. And so you may as well find out that as soon as possible. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I'd say start emailing right away, because you don't know how many of those, you didn't say how many are on your list, but if you've got 10 or 100 people on your list, you don't know how many of those people are actually going to buy if you ask them. That's the first thing. The second thing is, the sooner you start emailing them and asking them to buy something, whether it's your product or your services, the sooner they're going to get trained into the idea that you are in business to do business and not just to provide information. On my list there are people who will buy anything I offer them as soon as I offer it, and they do. When I offer my the list for the online sales supremacy, a lot of people joined the early notification list. About 20% of my list joined that, and I guess probably 10% of those will actually invest in it when it comes out. When I offer my critiques and other things, I'm basically inundated with people, because they will buy whatever I'm offering, because I've trained them to know that I'm not just in it for the fun of it. Now, if you never ever offer anything to sell, people will assume, even if they don't do it consciously, they will assume you're just there as a resource to be used and benefited from without giving anything back. That's not a good position to be in. So really you need to start emailing straight away, and while you might give of yourself, also say, but I'm in business and I want something in return. And the earlier you do that, the better. The sooner you do it, with a small list or a big list, the better. Because everyone who joins your list from now on, especially if you say right up front, I email every day or I email every week, they're not going to complain, because that's what they're signing up for. And paradoxically, I've actually written about this on my blog somewhere, or in an email. The more often you email, the fewer complaints, spam complaints you will get. You might get some at first if you haven't done it before, but what you will get is people know to expect your emails. If you don't email them for about 6 months and then suddenly drop them on, they will have forgotten all about you, and you will get spam complaints and a lot more unsubscribes. But don't fear unsubscribes. There's no more of a disgrace than someone walking into your shop or your store and not doing business with you. Maybe you're not offering what they want, maybe they don't like you, maybe they don't like your hairstyle, maybe it's because you're an atheist or a Christian or whatever. I'm an atheist, and if people don't like that, that's fine by me. But there's no disgrace in losing subscribers. The only disgrace is not actually trying to make money from them, because that's what you're in business to do. So I hope that's cleared things up. Ask Baldy's off today. It's a lovely evening out here actually. This is Wednesday evening. and you can probably just see Clonakilty behind me. So alright, I shall speak to you next week. Keep the questions coming and have a great weekend.